something impossible has just happened at the heart of America's wildest landscape.
Sleeping Godzilla underneath Yellowstone.
In Wyoming are now closed to the public as a dangerous fissure has opened.
The USGS, it shows the eruption blasting out of a thermal pool, sending water several feet into the air.
Yellowstone National Park, the crown jewel of the American West, has always seemed ancient and eternal. Peaceful rivers, herds of bison, steam rising in the pale dawn. But all that calm is just a thin disguise for something unimaginably powerful lurking beneath the surface. One of the world's most dangerous supervolcanoes. Its vast cauldron of molten rock quietly stirring for millennia. Now in October 2025, that sleeping titan has apparently sent an unmistakable signal that the clock may be running down. In the past hour, satellite eyes have captured what geologists never expected to see in their lifetimes. Reports of a gigantic fissure, a crack at least 100 feet across, slicing straight through Yellowstone's familiar landscape. According to official sources, the park is on lockdown, sealed off to visitors. Emergency alerts flicker across cell phones in 4 states. Officials stress this is not a drill. Yellowstone's volcanic activity has been declared a national emergency. But what really ignited the panic among scientists wasn't the crack itself, it was what the Earth appeared to reveal underneath. For the first time, humanity is staring directly into a shifting underworld, as though the skin of the continent has split open to reveal its volcanic heart. Tremors are racing through the region, more than 86,000 micro-earthquakes and counting in silent, hidden waves. The air is laced with mystery, fear, and a question that echoes far beyond the park gates. Is this the beginning of Yellowstone's long-dreaded awakening? And what secrets have just been revealed beneath America's most dangerous volcano? Chapter 1. The Crack in the Shield. It began not with a roar, but with a sound so faint that only the most sensitive seismographs caught its warning. At dawn on October 25th, 2025, hikers near Yellowstone's Norris Geyser Basin reportedly noticed a distant, low rumble, a subtle vibration beneath their boots, as if the earth itself was breathing in its sleep. Many dismissed it as the background symphony of geysers and steam vents, unaware of what might have been brewing deep below. But by mid-morning, the tone had changed. A ranger radioed for backup after spotting an unusual sight, a line of widening cracks crossing the Firehole Lake Drive, where yesterday there had only been solid ground. Park officials rushed to the scene. What they found erased any doubts and turned a geological oddity into breaking global news. Stretching across an open field and bleeding through a curtain of steam, a 100-foot wide fissure reportedly opened up, its jagged edges descending deep into darkness. The earth looked torn, as if by invisible hands from beneath. NASA's INSAR satellites, passing overhead in careful watch, confirmed that this was no shallow surface scar. Early analyses suggest the crack may cut through layers of sediment and ancient volcanic ash, potentially extending into the caldera that gives Yellowstone its power. It stretched for nearly a mile, twisting through forests, past thermal pools, and along the path of old rivers. A wound at the literal heart of America. Within minutes, Yellowstone was declared off-limits. Alarms blared through gateway towns, and roads were barricaded. Scientists from the USGS, NASA, and universities scrambled to get updated readings. Even as the fissure continued to grow, satellite imagery painted a disturbing picture. The ground near the crack was warped and buckling, swelling upward in an undulating wave. In several spots, fresh steam jetted from the fracture, venting unfamiliar sulfurous odors. For those on the ground, the entire landscape seemed off balance, as if reality itself was tilting on an unknown axis. Perhaps more chilling than the crack's breadth or depth was what instruments started picking up beneath it. A swarm of micro-earthquakes, more than 86,000 and rising, each too small to feel, but together forming a chorus echoing through the rock. Some originated miles underground, others sprang up just beneath the surface, climbing the fissure's damp, jagged walls. For decades, geologists treated Yellowstone as a sleeping dragon, immense power but locked away deep beneath layers of cooled rock and ancient lava domes. Now, all that insulation appeared to have been breached. The world watched, held fast by the question, if Yellowstone can split open like this, what might come next? Chapter 2. 86,000 whispers in the dark. While the world's attention fixated on the visible crack, something just as strange was unfolding out of sight, an invisible symphony playing out on the world's most sensitive instruments. It started with a spike that caught the NASA INSAR team completely off guard. Their satellites, programmed to track Yellowstone's minuscule daily changes, suddenly fed back reams of new data. Signals once measured in millimeters per year now registered in centimeters per hour. The caldera, that vast underground basin sculpted by 3 apocalyptic eruptions over the last 2 million years, was buckling and flexing in slow, haunting waves. The USGS seismic network, a web listening for every tremor, lit up next. Initially, screens dotted with isolated events, deep and subtle, 10 or even 15 kilometers below the park. Then they multiplied, becoming clouds of microquakes that migrated outward from the reported fissure like spreading ripples. Some clusters tracked beneath Norris Geyser Basin, others edged south toward Old Faithful, rarely straying from the caldera's boundaries. Over 86,000 separate micro-earthquakes in mere days, a number with no modern precedent at Yellowstone. Most were fleeting, unnoticed by those above ground. Yet to geophysicists, the pattern was not just unusual, it was alarming. They called it a slow earthquake swarm, a process where stresses move through rock, sometimes reducing pressure, other times teeing up the conditions for a much larger event, or possibly a volcanic eruption. Not a single thunderous quake, but a whispering prelude to something unknown. The scientific puzzle: were these signals indications of pressure being safely released, or warning flares of a coming event? The tremors showed no sign of abating, growing stronger and moving outward, apparently feeding off the energy from the giant crack. Satellite analysts tied the patterns together. The fissure wasn't just a break. It may have acted as a pressure valve, releasing steam, heat, and gases into the cool autumn air, and each release seemed to drive more ground movement, more seismic chatter, with the entire western United States feeling the faintest thrum of uncertainty. Would these thousands of tremors relieve the pressure in Yellowstone's caldera? Or, as some USGS scientists quietly wondered, were they instead creating new channels for magma on the move? Every microquake was a warning, but to what? Chapter 3. The secret beneath the crack. As emergency crews worked to secure the fissure, a core team of geologists advanced, risking exposure to haze and unstable ground for one purpose: to study the Earth's newly revealed wound. Looking into the crack's mouth, they saw more than darkness. Veins of minerals clung to exposed rock, glowing in colors characteristic of volcanic terrain. Hot gases surged up, heavy with the characteristic rotten egg odor of sulfur. Far below, the light of handheld probes reflected on surfaces shining with condensation and heat. What their equipment revealed was even more startling. Temperatures within the fissure soared to levels far above the ambient surface. Spikes of 200–300 degrees Celsius, approaching conditions where rock itself can melt. Thermal sensors detected gradients that pointed towards significant unusual heat transfer from depth to the surface. Clear evidence that hot fluids or magma may be closer to the surface than previously believed. But then seismic and gravimetric scans produced a new puzzle. Along the fissure's course, beneath its visible scar, instruments picked up a lens-shaped anomaly, dense, hot, and apparently expanding, just 3 miles down. Its profile mirrored the outline of the underlying caldera mapped by Hayden's 19th century team. This was no fossil chamber. The magma reservoir appeared to be active, far from exhausted, perhaps even swollen with new material from deep within the Earth. The top of this magma body, if verified by ongoing research, could be closer to the surface than at any point in recent memory, a pressurized dome of molten rock straining against its rocky cap. Then came another discovery. NASA's radar satellites identified a second, smaller crack branching to the south near West Thumb Geyser Basin, a quiet twin to the main fissure. The appearance of these related features convinced scientists that Yellowstone was fracturing along multiple lines, creating weaknesses in the crust where heat, gas, and fluid could travel more easily. What had pushed its way up, heat, magma, mineral-rich water, appeared to be seeking an outlet. Would Yellowstone's geologic defenses hold? Or had the supervolcano crossed a threshold no one could reverse? Chapter 4. Yellowstone sealed. The world watches. As news spread and the fissure's true size became clear, the world's attention riveted on Yellowstone. Live coverage showed the crack broadening across thermal basins, sending waves of steam into the air. Local reporters struggled to explain what they saw, a force so immense it seemed beyond comprehension. Authorities acted quickly. Park rangers led visitors out. Thousands of people, some in disbelief as dreams of natural wonder were eclipsed by the weight of emergency. Helicopters whirred overhead, broadcasting evacuation orders. Roads from West Yellowstone and Gardiner filled with cars, while equipment trucks moved in the opposite direction. Then the lockdown commenced. Steel gates sealed entry roads. Airspace over the park was closed. Teams arrived in protective gear, equipped to monitor dangerous gases now billowing from newly opened vents. For surrounding communities, the anxiety intensified. The sky over Mammoth Hot Springs faded behind thin, sulfur-streaked haze. Water in streams ran suddenly warm, tinged with unseen minerals. Wildlife bolted at sounds unheard by humans. Globally, NASA's live satellite imagery of the fissure played across news channels. international leaders requested briefings, concerned about the potential effects of a supervolcanic event, from ash in the atmosphere to disruptions of the food chain. At USGS press conferences, even experienced officials struggled to reassure. "We are in uncharted territory," said one spokesperson. Surface fissures, seismic swarms, uplift, and heat anomalies are converging in ways we have not previously observed at Yellowstone. The risks are real. This is not a drill. The data grew more alarming by the hour. Surface uplift measured in centimeters. Tremors pulsed through the park. Steam vents erupted unexpectedly. No one could say whether these signs were cresting or still intensifying. Could North America be witnessing the start of an active phase for its most famous volcano? Or was this event an omen, a signal from deep tectonic forces shifting not just Yellowstone but the entire continent? Chapter 5. Warning from the depths. As the days passed, tension only mounted. What began as a crack now symbolized something bigger. A wake-up call that planet-scale processes do not pause to ask permission. In emergency command centers, scientists surrounded themselves with monitors updating deformation, gas levels, and seismic activity in real time. The realization quickly set in: nothing about Yellowstone's current signals fit familiar patterns. Uplift happened in sporadic pulses, centimeters up, then down, then sideways in unpredictable spurts. The fissures had not spread in tidy lines, but tangled webs, matching the known complexity of ancient lava flows and buried domes below the park. GPS arrays planted years ago sent alarming signals. Stations only half a mile apart now registered relative motions of several inches. Not slow geologic creep, but sharp, ratchet-like jumps, hinting at surges from below. The caldera, which used to shift gently, now twisted itself toward new alignments with every pulse of subsurface pressure. Thermal scanners confirmed the rapid change. The crust below the fissure heated up at a rate never measured before at Yellowstone. Rather than the slow warming seen over decades, temperatures near the break leaped by dozens of degrees in hours. Scientists ticked through a list of known warning signs. Major fissure, check. Seismic swarm, check. Measurable uplift, check. Accelerating heat and gas release, check. Yet, for every box ticked, bigger questions loomed. Yellowstone's history features cataclysms, eruptions so immense they changed climate and buried half a continent under ash. Today, the crust is wounded, venting its energies to the world above for the first time in living memory. Would the magma stop short of breaching the surface, cooling into new cap rock? Could these events mark a final gasp before a return to uneasy quiescence? Or was this only the prologue to another chapter in Yellowstone's long and violent saga? No scientist dared to predict what comes next. But as one geologist murmured, it feels like the world is waiting to see if this time the Earth itself blinks. Chapter 6. The Ancient Power Reborn. With every shudder, Yellowstone reminds the world, this is no ordinary volcano. This is the site of 3 catastrophic super eruptions, each one reshaping the landscape and global environment in ways that still resonate today. The earliest eruption, about 2 million years ago, blew out a caldera large enough to erase whole ecosystems, casting ash as far as the Mississippi. Another, 1.3 million years ago, carved new ridges and wiped out lakes and forests. The most recent super eruption, 640,000 years ago, formed the 50-mile-wide caldera that is Yellowstone's modern signature, its floor draping a chamber that holds immense quantities of partially melted rock. Between cataclysms, the land rebuilt itself. Wildlife returned, forests regrew. The volcano seemed dormant, but beneath that calm, the cycle continued, magma rising, pressure building, and earthquakes accumulating. The question has always been not whether Yellowstone will erupt again, but when. The newly reported 100-foot crack testifies that Yellowstone is very much alive. Not a relic, but an active, dynamic system. Satellite images from NASA and INSAR are unambiguous. The entire magma system still pulses with heat, still reshapes the Earth above, still feeds geysers and hot springs with its energy. Geysers that once seemed playful are now joined by new steam vents, possibly heralding deeper unrest. Researchers sometimes liken Yellowstone to an engine that resets the landscape every eruption, then waits, accumulating its strength in stillness. With the crust now breached, releasing gas and steam in new places, and tremors continuing to echo through the rock, Yellowstone's lesson is clear. The fundamental question, repeated generation after generation, stands before us again. If, not when, will Yellowstone next remake the map? Now, each passing hour, every microquake, and each curl of escaping steam adds urgency to that age-old uncertainty. Chapter 7. Aftershock. The world holds its breath. In the towns orbiting Yellowstone, every tremor raises alarms. Is that a distant bison's cry, or another collapse in the park? Airfields stay closed, highways monitored, as officials and citizens alike scour the horizon for new clues. Supply chains brace for possible disruptions. Airlines reroute flights, wary of even a chance of volcanic ash threatening the upper atmosphere. Power grid operators monitor for shocks, contemplating what would happen if an eruption cut electrical lines or blanketed farmland in ash. In the news, the 100-foot fissure becomes not just a break in the earth, but a new symbol of uncertainty. Reports stream in from around the world. Images of the split land, steam swirling up from the wound, scientists peering into the depths. Parents keep their children near. Teachers update curricula in real time. Conversations on social media surge, colliding speculation with sober updates from volcanologists. Yet amid the noise, one fact is unchallenged. This was not a random or isolated crack, but a clear sign that deep forces still move in the heart of the continent. The crack, the earthquake swarm, the uplift, the heat and gas, all are part of a coherent, if mysterious, pattern. But what that pattern truly means remains a matter of debate. Some scientists strike a cautiously optimistic note. In rare cases, volcanoes vent enough energy through cracks and small eruptions that the big one is averted, a geophysicist explained on live TV. It's possible Yellowstone is relieving, not building, catastrophic stress. Still, possible is little comfort, with so many unknowns looming. Not when each instrument, from satellites to ground sensors, reports Yellowstone more restless now than at any point in recent memory. How many warnings does it take before the world truly listens? Chapter 8. A new era begins, and so a planet waits. Yellowstone's crack, torn open in a moment, lingers as an open question on a global stage. What comes next? Will the ground's churning motions ease or escalate? Will new ruptures follow, or does this event fade into a tense, watchful calm? Scientists camp near the park's boundaries, tripling their vigilance. The impact of October 25th, 2025 will not soon fade from memory. For now, uncertainty rules. The fate of Yellowstone, and all who live in its shadow, has never felt more precarious. In research labs and satellite command centers, experts ask, has the countdown to the next eruption already started with that singular and astonishing crack? The land is quiet for the moment, punctuated only by the occasional tremor and the silent upwelling of steam. Still, the fissure across Yellowstone remains, an unresolved rift warning of forces at work in the deep. What happens next? No one can say, but this much is now certain. The veil of ignorance has lifted. Yellowstone's hidden drama is playing out in the open, and the world is watching with bated breath. As the old warning says, it is not always the great thunder that signals disaster, but the eerie calm after. In the haunting silence of America's greatest park, Yellowstone is not finished telling its story. Stay alert. This ancient land has not yet revealed its full power, and the earth is not done moving beneath our feet.